Sorry, bro. Oh, but sorry. In fact, that's why so I was on air. We
Dreading the start of a work week or wishing the current work day away. In a challenging economy, you may not feel that you can simply change jobs, but you might be able to change how you think about your job to improve your job satisfaction. And that is what I want to talk about on a Wednesday like this one, on a Do-It-Yourself Wednesday. I want to find out if work, which is fun, can only be found in a .com companies. I'm talking about companies such as the Silicon Valley in California, which allegedly have video game rooms and swimming pools at their disposal. We've heard of other companies that provide lunch, or sometimes they have a creche so that you can bring your children to the workplace, and then it makes you feel more excited, more comfortable and happy to work. Is it possible to be filled with excitement when you think of that old desk, that small chair and that rickety ceiling fan? Can you walk with a bounce in your step from home, knowing that a pile of papers wait for you at your destination? Or should we just forget about the whole enjoyment aspect and just focus on the work and getting the job done, given that your compatriots are at home with nothing to do? Well, let's just get the conversation started. My guest in studio, she's been here before on a Wednesday. Mrs. Mark Okine, Akosia Mark Okine is the CEO of Crossbridge Consult. Good morning to you. It's good to have you again.
Thank you.
And I'm excited that we're talking work and happiness. And I asked the question before, is it a myth or a reality?
I like the way you put it, myth or reality. You decide. And you make it a myth or you make it a reality. But that tension is an interesting tension. And I guess as we go along, we'll see what we can do along this continuum. But I like the name Do It Yourself, because that determines whether it's a myth or a reality for you.
Okay. So if you're doing it yourself, then I guess that's a reality, right?
Well, it depends on what your reality is. You were just talking about an old chair, and somebody might have all that and think, in fact, that is fun. So it depends on the individual. And as I said on last time I was here, organizations are made up of individuals. And individuals have their own mindsets and attitudes. And they determine how the organization works within whatever framework which that organization works in. So I guess we'll look at that.
Yeah, sure. But how important is job satisfaction?
Well, job satisfaction is it's one of the very old concepts that psychologists and sociologists have looked at the work situation. And even though it's such an old concept, it's very nebulous in terms of defining it. But generally, we would define job satisfaction as that the pleasure or emotional state, positive emotional state that you get after assessing your job, both externally and internally, and the good feeling that you have about it.
Whose duty or responsibility is it to give you that kind of job satisfaction? Is it myself or the employer?
Well, actually, it's both. There are things that are managed under yourself, and there are things that the organization also provides. And so it's when these two, ideally, you'd want a career that matches with your dreams, but that's the exception, where you're having lots of fun and getting paid for it, But for most of us, we have to learn to work at job satisfaction and create our job satisfaction. That is why the individual mindset and attitude becomes very important.
I like that so much, and I think that we should perhaps focus on that.
Okay.
Because it's about what you can do for yourself. So if you're not, I mean, we've heard about places, some exceptional places, where in the morning when you come, there are things for breakfast already. So you can just leave home whatever time, come to work, and you know there's a kitchenette. You can just get there and get something going, and then lunchtime you'll be asked, what do you want to have for lunch, or this is the menu, choose. But how many companies are there like this? So you may not be in that kind of environment, but how can you create that sort of satisfaction for yourself? How can you not think about all the negatives surrounding the job?
Well, you see, when you as an individual, you need to have a positive mindset. Now, you go into a work situation where you don't have everything that you were looking for, and now you want to create one. First, you need to be able to look at yourself and ask yourself, why am I working? If you are working because you need the job, then you're just concerned about pay and you really don't care about anything else. It's about how much you're compensated for. If you're looking at it in terms of career, then you're looking at promotions, how can I, development opportunities. That becomes very important to you and therefore will give you job satisfaction. And then if your reason is because you have a passion for the work, what is intrinsic in the work itself, then you really don't care about money, position, status, and so on. So first you need to be able to determine that for yourself. Then you need to look at your expectations. What expectations am I looking for in terms of myself? What are my expectations when I'm looking for the job? And what does the job or organization also provide? Or what do I expect that they should provide? Now, when these things are clear in your mind from the beginning, it's easier for you to close the gap for job satisfaction.
Okay.
Now, when you determine your expectations, now you're looking at, is the job challenging enough for me? Is it interesting? How complex, what kind of variety do I have? And the organization provides this in a job description. Now, assuming you go in there and you already are in the job and it's boring. Now, the thing is to ask yourself, how can I make this a little bit more interesting for me? Are there alternative ways of doing the same job? Are there ways of teaching other people the skills on this job? Can I even develop myself better? And so on. So you need to have alternative ways of thinking about the job. Remember, we are trying to create job satisfaction because it was not an ideal situation when we got there. So we're looking at, why do I want to work? What are the expectations? How can I make this more challenging? And what kind of commitment am I prepared to put into the job? So you see why the individual becomes very important. And that if I am committed, am I committed because I don't have a choice? And so, I'm there, I have to stay. Or do I find it as a moral obligation? Or is it because I'm motivated and have a passion for it?
Sometimes we get excited when we get the job, and then we tell ourselves, "Oh, I'm doing it for the passion and everything." And then you get in there, and then your focus sort of changes. Now you're thinking, okay, passion doesn't give me total job satisfaction. I think I'm looking for money. So if your focus changes, or the expectation, if something changes along the line and everything shifts, how can you create that satisfaction?
Again, you have to go back to yourself. It's very true that your focus can change. Because if you look at Maslow's needs hierarchy, at a particular point in time, money might be very important to you. Another time, it's the security. What is the future pension if I stay with this company forever? Or it might be because of the network, the social network that you get because of the job. Or you might be looking for actualization. Now, depending on where you are, If pay is most important to me and you're giving me a very big position that doesn't come with the requisite pay, I'm not excited about it. So you have to determine, what do I want? Now, let's say your focus has changed. That is when you have to go back to what I just said. I call it the WECC. Why?
Which one is
the WECC?
Why am I working?
Why am I working? What are my expectations now that my focus has changed? How can I make it challenging for myself?
Okay.
All right. And
are
then
there
the commitment, yes, alternatives, and then the commitment that I'm prepared to put towards it.
Okay.
Because don't forget that job dissatisfaction can be caused either by you or by the organization. Even things like daily irritations that you come to work, little irritations, can cause job dissatisfaction for you. And these irritations can come from yourself. Maybe you are bringing in some hangover from home, or you are in the honeymoon phase, like you said. When you start the job, you are very passionate about it, and then it wears off. So all that kind of thing works to give you satisfaction or dissatisfaction. Or the organization may have promised you certain things, and you don't have the things that you need to support the work.
Exactly.
Now again, it is up to you. How can you be creative with what is given to you?
Is that easy to do?
No, it's not.
Especially when you're part of a team.
Yeah, it's a choice that you have to make, and it's not easy to stay on track. There are a lot of distractions that will take you off. That is why your grounding in yourself internally becomes very important, because you are motivated by an internal move inside, a drive inside you, and not the externals. For some people it's the externals.
That inner sort of motivational drive, is it something that you create yourself? Is it something that you think about yourself, or how do you get it if you don't have it?
Yeah, it's very important. Both of us go to work. We have just arrived, or we get a job because I'm looking for a job. But you haven't sat down to think about, what do I want to do with myself? And in this job, what do I want to do if I do get the job? So it's a matter of, okay, I've arrived. Sometimes you even interview people, and they're going into organizations. They don't have a clue about the organization, and you expect to be taken seriously. No, you must first decide, what do I want? What will I accept? What will I not accept? It's like when people ask you, or at interviews, how much pay do you want? And you say anything.
Anything, yeah.
Immediately you're out. I mean, you're going to be a problem, because you don't even know how much it's going to cost you to come to work, what your rents are, and so on and so forth. So you accept everything. Then every time you are looking for salary advance and stuff like that.
Couldn't that also be a good strategy? Because you want to get the job, first of all. It's difficult to get jobs these days. So you want to get in. And then once you're in and you feel that you've arrived, then you can make your demands. Is that wrong?
It's not wrong. Then it's a very important word you used. Then it is a strategy. It's a strategy to get in. But once you get in, now you have to strategize on how to stay in, and not just be there because of, like, you are in a parking space or occupying space, but because you're performing. And it is through that strategy that will lead to your job satisfaction. Because obviously, if you're doing very well, everybody's looking at you and wanting to see how we can push the star up the organization. But if you are laid back because I don't have anything, then that's very unimaginative of you.
Sometimes you get a job, you're excited doing the work with whatever pay that comes with it, and then somebody elsewhere would think you're probably overworking yourself, but you're excited doing it, so you don't mind working long hours and all. But then you suddenly realize that somebody who's probably doing half what you're doing is getting a lot more pay than you are. So the whole bit about satisfaction, excitement, and everything just begins to go down. How do you pick yourself back up there? How do you stop comparing yourself to what others are getting and then what you're not getting?
Yes, now this is a very real issue. and is one of the major causes of job dissatisfaction.
Dissatisfaction.
In the perception that I'm not being given fair pay, or the organization is not supporting me, the key word there is the perception. Why do you think you are doing more work than the other person?
Well, sometimes it's obvious. You come to work at dawn, for instance, and then you close at, say, 6 p.m. Somebody else comes at 8, closes at 2. So, if not the work input, at least you're doing longer hours. But say initially when you're offered, say, 1,000 or 1,005, you're very excited because where you're coming from, you're not taking that much. But you realize somebody is doing shorter hours, but it's taking, say, 2,000, and you're like, wow, so I could have gotten better. So why am I getting less and doing longer hours?
Are you in the same position with the person or different positions?
Well, sometimes you all could be working in the newsroom.
Yes, but you have different functions, different job descriptions. And one job description might require long hours. It's part of the package for that particular position. Another one needs short hours, but might have certain inputs that you don't have in your job description. So that is why the word perception is very important. It is you who describes it as, this person, I'm doing better than this person, and yet I'm getting more. You create that mindset for yourself. And
how do you stop yourself from having that sort of perception and thinking along those lines?
You see, I keep using the word mindset. It is the way you set your mind. And it is the way you look at things and look at the world and interpret what you see. And so somebody might say good morning to you, and you're asking the person what's good about the morning. It is your perception, it's your interpretation, all right? And that is why we say perceived, because in reality it might not be true. So once you get your mindset straightened out that, look, this is what I want, these are my expectations for myself, this is the organization, what I want to do, you get into a situation where I call the BAB principle.
What's that?
BAB. What are my belief systems?
Okay.
So you need to, nobody can do this for you. It has to be yourself. What are my belief systems? What do I believe about this job? What do I believe about myself? What do I believe I can do to make it exceptional? Your beliefs will affect your attitude. Because I believe I can do such and such a thing, my attitude towards it is not like it's a problem I cannot solve, but it's a matter of how do I manage this and how do I find opportunity to make this exceptional.
Okay.
Remember the last time I was here, I was talking about the corner. Corners are created by two different walls, and so these differences come together, and in coming together in that corner there's always a dark area, and it is brighten the corner where you are. How can you be so bright that people don't even see the darkness, whereas another person comes in and the person sees only the darkness and there's no light at all, you know? So it's all about yourself. What are your belief systems? What is your attitude? And how am I going to behave because of my attitude? So that's what you have to learn to create for yourself.
Okay. So money is not necessarily, the bottom line when it comes to job satisfaction.
It depends on where you are. I talked about the need. What is your need?
So it's not wrong if money is your focus.
Oh, no. At that particular time, you need money. That's why you're looking for the job. And so you might accept any job that comes along. But remember, it's a choice you made. And so you don't gripe after you've gone into it. You made a choice that money was the key. And it came with a sudden job description that is not quite what you expected. So that determination, the WECC, you know that, okay, for the first 3-4 years, money is my focus. And so I will take anything because the money is right.
So somebody could decide to work in a bank for the money, knowing that you have to put in a lot of hours, but also knowing that you can get loans with lesser interest rates because of where you work, and then you can think along these lines. Within these 3-4 years, I want to remain here, irrespective of all the challenges. Focus on getting a loan to start my house or something, and then afterwards I will move on.
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea.
No, it's your personal plan. It's your personal strategy. But some of us just wait for things to happen to us. We don't create our future.
But what it means to is that whatever comes with it, you have to take it. It's like a package.
Yes.
So all the dissatisfactions that would come with a decision like that, you have to swallow it.
You have to pick up what you term as dissatisfaction. And how do I manage this? So, because remember that a satisfied employee works better, has a better quality of life, is healthier because the stresses are down, and what is a stress to you is not a stress to somebody else. And so again, we come back to your mindset. How do you, or what do you define as dissatisfaction with this job? Remember, your key motive was the money. And life is not fair. It is what you negotiate for. So you have to know that it will not be rosy. Very, very few people get exactly what their dream is. The rest of us have to create the satisfaction where we are until we move. And that needs strategy, that needs planning for yourself.
Wow. Okay. So you can love your job. You may not love all the things that come with it necessarily, but you can tune your mind to loving the things.
And look forward to coming to work. You see, how long do you spend at work? 24 hours. Look at when you wake up in the morning to be able to get to work on time. And if you look at the hours you spend that are work related, that's a lot of your time in the day. So why do you choose to be miserable? And that's your life ebbing away. It will never happen again. Today will never come again. And so why do you choose to be miserable with it rather than choose to have fun?
So what if there's somebody in that particular office or that workplace who annoys you, and you've changed your mindset? Yes, you've done everything that you can, but you're thinking, if that person wasn't there, then you would be completely satisfied.
Really?
Yeah. What do you do with that annoying person in that office?
You don't have the power to get the person to be sacked, and you have to live with the person. And when we talk about mindsets or even job satisfaction, you're talking about the cognitive, what you think, and your emotions, and the two must match to give you that job satisfaction. So in your mind, you are saying, I have a positive mindset, but in your emotions you feel very negatively towards this person. And remember, I talked about daily irritations. This is somebody you have to see every single day. That person, wouldn't it be interesting if you decided to ask or be a little closer to that person, or find out what is it that triggers this person to do things that are annoying to me? And that, if he's not perfect, what makes you think you are perfect? You probably do things that also irritate somebody else, and that person is not getting rid of you. So it is a matter of, what do I have and how do I manage this to the best of my advantage?
Okay.
And that cannot always be organized by the organization. You play a part, the organization plays a part. But until the organization gives you everything that you're looking for, you've got to live and have fun.
Okay. All right. I like this one. I'm trying to soak everything in there. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You might want to leave us with something. Everything is registering, but finally, what would you say to us? Because I want people to take their minds off the employer and focus on themselves. Because if we think about them, there are so many things. There's so many things that could get us annoyed. There's so many things that we'll be dissatisfied with just thinking about them. So I'm just thinking that broadly, it would be very important to focus on yourself and what you can do for yourself to be satisfied. Finally, what would you want to say?
Yes, I would like to say that with job satisfaction,